people are always asking me, and usually in an angry voice, like, why are you doing this? What, whatever the issue is, what do you think you're trying to do here? You know, and it astounds me that they do that because they never stand back and they say, you're right. What is he doing this for? Why is it that he wins and doesn't take? Why is it that he's right, but he never punishes for when people do him wrong? But all the time I'll get accused of I have some secret agenda to do something. You know what I mean? I'm always the guy I know the girl is flirting with me at the bar and wants me to buy her a drink, and I know ahead of time it's because she's trying to set me up for like date rape. So I have all the grounds laid forth ahead of me beforehand to say, hey, everybody watch this, or set the cameras up. If you want to, if you, guys out there are taping females having sex, well, I'm going to set up the cameras so that you can see what happens before that and how they get targeted. And you can't use that shit as a weapon. But you got to go to the roots, because what happens is, and this happened back in the Bush administration, and when I had my spiritual experience, and I was told you will know numbers and you will know dates, that you will be given these divine things, and I don't really always know what I'm talking about. I'm aware of that, but they say we will give you your mouth and we'll give you your wisdom, and I'm like, okay, because I was very cautious of this. I'm not someone who likes to prosecute people and put people down for things that they just because they believe it's wrong, and so you have to go back to the root cause. So I started thinking like, well, some of these things that I just have opinions on, I'm being critical with people about. So we look at the basics of it, and it came down to one very basic concept that everybody worldwide, we didn't take a poll of every single person, and I'm sure we would have had a few people that we know probably famous in history that would have disagreed with this, but it came down to the truth. And we had a few people that kind of had a beef with that, and they said, no, it's not, it's love. And that implies that somehow or another, that people who are about the truth are not about love, and yet, in effect, love is telling the truth. And what is your love for? A person, a car, or something like that? Because I mean, I love drugs. Does that mean that drugs are God? In a sense, yeah, they do. But I'm telling you the truth about it. Doesn't that? Yeah, that matters a lot. That matters a lot. It means that you have such confidence in what you're doing, that you have such a contact with that higher being, which everyone needs to have. That's the problem with atheism, that no one notices. I am the first person to tell you that I have no right to tell you what to or not to believe in. But the problem is you think I'm saying that God is some old man and he's going to come and strike lightning on you. I'm saying that much like people blame anarchy, which is actually giving everyone the freedom to do what they want, atheism is the opposite. Atheism is, I don't have anyone to answer to. I am God. I will do whatever I want. I can kill. I can lie. Because there's no punishment. There's no higher authority. That's like in AA and NA. When I went to every NA meeting for a day for an entire year after my fifth relapse, because I could not believe it was the only time in life I've ever been wrong. And what I mean by that is, like, I've been wrong about something I put my heart and soul into. And they said, if you go to NA every day for an entire year, the odds of you relapsing are like nothing. So I did. And I listened to them very closely. And there were a lot of people in there, and I can understand why, because I've been there, that were like in their fuck God moment. God sucks. God's an asshole. I'm like that all the time. But see, I don't say there is no God. That's idiotic. There's always a God. When you're born, your parents are God. When you have kids, you're God to your kids. And what makes you think that doesn't go all the way up to the highest levels of things that we don't understand? You have to answer to something. Even gods have gods. Aliens, extraterrestrials have gods. I've heard people imply there's no such thing as gods, but I believe in extraterrestrials. As if they don't have gods. Or as if they themselves are not gods. And so there becomes this tug of war of that. So what can you go by? What book of law do you go by? Well, the one that I do not go by is the one that we know is the most manipulated and is always wrong. And that is typically man-made laws. Now, why do I say that? Well, because if you look at the way the laws are constructed, you can tell that they're racist. You can tell that they basically give the power of lawmaking over to people who are in a position who wouldn't understand or have any goddamn clue of what's going on out on the streets. And we have so many laws that I was once quoted as saying, we have a law in the books for every single person on the planet. And what that means is not what you think it means. It means we have so many fucking laws that every person on the planet has one law on them. So I discussed this with my higher sources, and they said, well, you're going to reverse that. I said, what do you mean? Well, there's always going to be an exception to the rule. And now people say that, and they want to be the exception, and they want to choose the exception at the time, but they can't really always change it. So in other words, what are you saying? I mean, we're saying that you have to have a flaw, but otherwise you're perfect otherwise. And that flaw actually is usually something that you don't even want to have. You admit it's not right, especially if you're perfect, but you do it. Now, which of the ones do you want? Do you want to cheat on your wives? Do you want to lie? Do you want to, I mean, which one do you want? Okay, now lying is not a law in the man-made law. There's a reason for that. Exactly. Look at the Ten Commandments, for example. Murder is a sin, okay? Cheating is a sin, okay? Then look at man-made laws. It's bizarre to me that we will have millions of laws against man, but we have 10 basic ones that supposedly were given us to God, by God, and yet half of those aren't even added into the man-made laws. Now, why is that? Because the people who make man-made laws want to lie. They want to cheat. They don't want murder because they're worried they might get murdered. They want to steal because they're the ones with everything to steal. It's like the word terrorist. The root of the word terrorist was basically started back in the 1700s when we started the colonies of the United States. In England, they considered George Washington and them terrorists. Why? Terrorists are basically people who are correct but are creating terror amongst the people in power. And since the people in power dispense the news, the media, they're terrorizing me. They're just they're so bothersome. Why don't they just adhere to my commands? They're terrorizing me. Nowadays, of course, it means some sort of Muslim bomber, and then you have to look and say, well, wait a second, why? It doesn't matter. He said Allahu Akbar. That's all it means. You don't even know what Allahu Akbar means. People don't even know what Al Qaeda means. Why don't you look that up? Why don't you look up what the word Al Qaeda means, and then you begin to see reality. I don't have time to look it up. Well, then we know you work for the devil. Al Qaeda isn't even an Arabic word. It's a joke word created by the CIA. It's a slang term in Arabic that means the shitter. So Americans are scared of an attack from the shitter. And right then and there, that's when you start realizing who the demons are. And that's when you realize who the human angelics are. Now, if you want more proof, they say, well, man wrote the Bible. No, I don't think he did. Clearly, in the last 10 years, we're figuring out that so many things in the Bible, every story you've ever seen, every movie you've ever seen, I can point out everything you've ever seen is all rooted in this book. And you have to find the roots of those words that go all the way back to Hebrew. You have to go all the way to you have to have time to do that. Which means you probably won't have a lot of money. You won't have a lot of fame. People are not going to like you. You're going to have a lot of enemies. Except for what? Except for the people being put down and the righteous poor. And you put yourself at risk for that. Now, you know what's funny is people say, you just want to be a hero. Well, thank you for admitting that. Thank you. Thank you. Because 1 minute I'm a big loser, I'm a big idiot, and I'm a dork because you attack me. And then the next minute you accept that what I've done is I put everything on the line. And in the long run, whether it's tomorrow or it's in 100 years, as has been historically correct, not one single person that you can name me right now that is considered a god, is considered like awesome, like a genius. This guy was way ahead of his time. It hasn't had, what? A point where everyone thinks he's fucking on drugs. He's crazy. He's out of his mind. So it's almost like you're going to, that's one of the things you sign up for, God told me, that you got to be willing to do that. And since I know you're already like that and you already been put down for your drug use, and then I see you on Oprah, because you, how else do you get on Oprah overnight? God put me there. And I was the only person who stood up for truth. That should intimidate you if you're a liar. That wasn't a lucky, raffle ticket winning to go to the Oprah show. And yet the country still believes that guy lied in that book. And I know he didn't. Well, then why did they pull my clip, and only my clip, from the second most watched show ever on Oprah? Everyone saw it. Why did they pull it? And I love that. Eminem writes a song about me. He steals my personal journal. He makes an album called Recovery. That's about me. Most women go suck that guy's dick in the back of the tour bus. But with me, they'll hide their purse and tell all their friends I'm psycho to cover up what they're doing. My birthday is 8972. So let's get scientific for you, because science can't prove that. Okay, fine. 8972. Just recently I discovered that there was the biggest solar flare ever happened during the period between, I think, August 2nd and I think the 9th. My birthday is August 9th, 1972. Okay? Now, even when you go online, and this has been noted, they cannot decide what the exact date of the solar flare happening is because it threw time and space out of whack. So much so that it hasn't been really understood until now. Scientists had a meeting about this event, and 3 months later, some of their paperwork disappeared. Not because someone stole them, like it went through like some like Flight 107 or MH107. So something happened, and they believe that was the first awakening, and that the Summer of Love in '69 was the attempt at trying to wake people up. And because not enough people were awake, they pushed the global reset button and then erased people's minds, which we call like kind of like mind zapping, mind blanking, mind wiping. But that doesn't mean it didn't happen. No, some people were awake. That's the whole point. And they're trying to tell people about this, and that you said this and you did that and you were promising. So in a way, they don't realize why people are acting all weird. It's because you're the evil ones, but they have what's called plausible deniability. Beyond a reason of a doubt. So I created the fourth side. See, now where am I getting this information? Even if you think it's bullshit, even if you don't like it, it's creative enough to show you this guy clearly is very creative. Well, okay, where do you think creativity comes from? You think you're just born creative? Okay, make up your mind. Am I an idiot? Am I creative? What am I? Okay, there's his side, her side, and the truth. I have figured out in my pain in life that that's not true. There's his side, her side, and the truth, and then there's public opinion. And I'll bring up Michael Jackson as a perfect example. There was his side, her side, the truth, and then public opinion. And public opinion deems him to be guilty. The truth is, if you're molested or beat up as a kid, medically, which would be accepted in court, the odds of you being a molester are 0, and you probably will do something like go to the Neverland Ranch and have kids over all the time and sleep in their beds, but you would never molest them. It's the side effect of being molested. But public opinion won that. So in my case, I'm trying to create public opinion. I'm never going to win. I'm not trying to win something or win a person. But when you go in and you tell someone, you know what, I'm going to prove that you're lying because you're hurting a lot of people by doing it, and they tell you, I dare you, you can't prove that, and they think they're big some hot shit. That's exactly where God, the one that we all think we are, shows up and gives me information. So then on August 10th, we have what they call a meteorite, but it wasn't. It was a fireball, the Great One of 1972, exactly 12 hours after I was born at 8:27. What does this have to do with anything? Just listen to me. That's been filmed. Go on and type in the Great Fireball of 1972, August 10th. And they have a video of this thing. And I've never seen it before until just recently. And oh my god, there's no way that's a meteorite. It was filmed not even breaking up, in almost slow motion if it's a meteorite, going across the sky as a fireball all the way from Mexico to Canada. After all these solar flares happened. So within that week span where I was born, the most amazing cosmic events happened. Not only that, but the other amazing cosmic events, such as what they call the 72 seconds, which was the first time we ever received on Yeti, the satellites that are pointed out to space, actual what we believe to be terrestrial sounds. In other words, it could not have been a star, it could not have been an electronic pulse. It had to be coming from something intelligent. And it's known as the 72-second signal. You can look that up. And just a few months ago, scientists are baffled because they don't know where it came from, they don't know what happened. There were 72 bright flashes in distant space coming towards Earth. They don't know what that meant. So this number 72 comes in not just, 72 hours or the numbers of minutes on a CD. It comes up always, constantly. It's probably the most important number besides 33 in biblical terms. Now, if you don't believe in numbers, okay, if you can decipher what someone is, just go into the book, the Bible. Now, why? Well, even if you don't believe in the Bible, my point being is everyone is so sick of them preaching the Bible, we're going to be bound to live by it because it's programmed into our consciousness. And I didn't even read it until recently, but it's where I get a lot of my evidence. So what's the big deal with numbers? Okay, well, I say my number 72. There were 222 days. 222 days in the year, on that year, and it was a leap year. There was 144 days left. You may notice that 2 times 72 is 144. 2 times I mean, 5 times 72 is 360. As in 360 degrees. Things go full circle. So 222. I noticed that in pictures that I took, even selfies. I have one online. So one of my favorite is Book of Daniel, and I like Luke. I like Revelation, which is interesting because that again goes along with what the biblical area of all this is. Daniel 2:22 jumped out at me immediately, and it's talking about God. It says, "He knows, no, he will be the revealer of secrets." What does that mean? You tell me. It means he will reveal secrets of the world that no one else knew. He will show you tricks of the trade on how the world is created and what the masters know. The secret society hates this. They're trying to kill me, and they have tried to kill me. They poison me. They put me in the hospital. They hire chicks to do it. That's why it's a secret society. Because they're milking you out of your money. They think they deserve it all, and they think it's their secrets. When these things have always been around, they just don't want to share it with people. That's why I share so much. Because I know I should be sharing everything, but I do because I want to make you know who I am. If I'm going to get blamed for something wrong, I want to get blamed for what I did wrong. I don't want to be lied to about it. You have every right to do what you want to do, but if you're going to punk somebody, for example, like if you're going to cheat on a girlfriend or boyfriend, you have every right to do that, right? But don't start denying to everyone, that guy is psycho. He said I was his girlfriend, and now that I'm with so-and-so, and he's lying. God's going to send me to you. And I'm not just saying me, I'm saying, what do you think the Holy Spirit is? Okay, well, I'm very most often in the middleman. What's the middleman of my name? And the word angelos means middleman, messenger, the middleman. What's my middle name? Okay then. You know what dawn means? Look it up. What's the archaic meaning of the word the dawn? What is a dawn? In Mexico it means mister. But basically it means, look it up, the Lord. And then I have Lins. Now check this out. It's based out of the city of Linz, Linz, in Austria, in Germany. That's the city Hitler was born in. It's also the city where Russia and the U.S. made peace. It's a very famous city. It's got all these little crazy things that happened in it. And I'm from there. And almost everyone named Linz, Lins, even when they're from South America, is related to my family. You can find them on the family tree. That's pretty rare, and I'm proud of that. That's a bloodline for you. So I go into this Bible and I start looking up things, and sure enough, I start seeing things in chapter 7s, in chapter 2s, or in 2s, in number 7s. Then I found out in the Da Vinci Code, they just found a number secretly hidden underneath the Mona Lisa. Where? Underneath the arch. And guess what number that is? This is just recently discovered. This is number 72. And it turns out, as they looked at it closer, almost all of Da Vinci's paintings, even his study of man image, all have the measurements of exactly either 2:7 or 7:2. And now we have the release of the 72 procession, which is that history repeats itself, which means we're in the middle of a world war. Because every 72 years since the Civil War, we had what? No, the Revolutionary War, we had the Civil War. And then after the Civil War, we had the World War II. We are now at like year 77 of that. So the war started, and it timed almost perfectly with when Trump got voted in office. I'm not even saying I'm anti-Trump because you don't know how these things are going to play out. So I go to the Bible and look up Numbers. Why not? Typical. Okay, Numbers 7, chapter 2, or 7, verse 2, right? 7:2. I'll read 7 and then into 2. And it came to pass on the day that Moses had finally set up the tabernacle and had anointed it and sanctified it, all the instruments thereof, both at the altar, said all the vessels thereof, and had anointed them and sacrificing them. 7:2. That the princes of Israel, heads of the house of their fathers, who were the princes of the tribes, and were over them that were numbered offered. Okay, that's fine. I mean, I can go anywhere in here. I can go into the Quran. Okay, chapter 72 is what? The angels. And it says he will not reveal the secrets to those unless he chooses to give them the secrets, for Allah does not reveal the secrets to everyone. They know of the secrets things, and their numbers shall be enumerated. And Michael and Gabriel is Michael and Gabriel. Two of the same exact names, and only names ever used in the Bible for angels. No, and Uriel and Ariel. And in Judaism. So we have three religions, two of which are at war all the time, The only things that they really have in common is they kind of tell the events the same way, but the names of the angels that came and gave the information are exactly the same. That's not a coincidence. That's not a coincidence. And I can find this anywhere you want it to be. Daniel 2:22 is 144,000. That's Generation X. You're reading 144,000 out. I'm kind of gross. That's also 144. And 2:22. He knows the secret things. He will reveal the secret things. And he knows what dwells in the darkness, but the light dwells within him. What does that mean? It means that I know about evil things. I know about dark things because I've experienced them. But you would be making a mistake in judging him that way. Why? Because the light dwells in him.